Hey everybody, Al Puglisi Trains. As promised, we have an interview with Jim Brewer, the creator of this incredible Norfolk and Western Shenandoah layout in HO scale. So let's get started.
Tell me when you're ready.
Hey Jim, how you doing? Jim Brewer, how are you?
Doing good, Al. Thanks. How are you?
Good, good. And then I've got Ken Amos, friend of mine. How you doing, Ken?
Not bad at itself.
And Alex Kohler.
Hello.
Jim, tell us about the layout, and we'll just follow you around. And
Sure. The layout is based on a Norfolk and Western line that ran from Hagerstown, Maryland to Roanoke, Virginia. I modeled the portion roughly from Front Royal, Virginia through Waynesboro, Virginia.
Okay.
And that kind of parallels the Skyline Drive. So the northern, the terminals, Hagerstown and Roanoke, are represented by staging, which is in my workshop. The first modeled portion that you'll see here is the American Viscose plant, which was located in Front Royal, Virginia, together with a few other industries that were there.
Wow.
All of the structures for the Viscose plant are scratch built by Richard Daniels, and they Richard was a structure guy. He really could churn them out, and has built a lot of structures on the layout, as you'll see. But the Viscose plant was a part of the buildings were still standing when we started to research the area. We took some trips down to the area. And
are these the pictures?
These are pictures that we took on some of our field trips down through the area.
Wow. Yeah, this was on the original, folks. We did a walkthrough of the layout, but I wanted to do this video with the owner, talking about it. And this is this is the plant, the facilities.
Yeah, I might mention that the big stack in the back there is not a smokestack, but it was to exhaust the fumes out of the plant.
Oh wow!
They made rayon there, and they used wood pulp and acid and stuff. And I understand the stench was horrible. So that smokestack actually represents the second one there. We learned that during our research that the first one just disintegrated from the toxicity of the fumes.
Oh my God! Now what was the chemical that they made? What was it? Rubber?
Well, they made rayon. But
Rayon.
They used wood pulp and sulfuric acid and some other acids to make rayon. Originally, the main product was for the war effort. Plant was built in 1939. It was part of the British Lend-Lease program. And they made rayon for parachutes, tires, and those types of things.
Wow. I didn't really know what rayon was for. I mean, I've heard of it, but I had no clue what.
Yeah, it's sort of a forerunner in nylon, I guess.
Okay. And it's gone. There's nothing really left of the plant.
It was a super fun site. Actually, there are two buildings that are still in existence, as far as I know. That would be the entrance buildings here.
Okay.
These were retained, and as I understand, I don't know whether it's the county or the state is redeveloping that area.
Oh wow.
In the back, all the way back there, we have what we call Virginia Jams and Jellies. It was really the Virginia Food Company. That building is scratch built also by Richard Daniels.
Oh wow.
And it was primarily still intact when we would go down and take some photographs.
Wow.
The depot was built by John Holt, another one of my work crew in the past, and follows plans that were published in Model Railroader many, many, many years ago.
Okay.
And that building is still standing, used by the signal maintainers.
Now where's that?
This
depot?
is Front Royal, Virginia.
Okay. Okay. Wow. You know, I missed so much of this on the original. This facility here, is this part of?
This is all part of the Viscose plant, and actually, we have roof panels that sit in this aisleway because this is just one huge building. And we used to put the roof panels in during the open house, but then people couldn't get back to see things.
Right.
So we've just been leaving them out. Of course, when we run trains or operate or whatever, they're out as you see it right now.
Wow. You know, at first I thought this giant smokestack might have been like a beam, hiding a beam to the basement. I'm like, what the hell? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is a smokestack. Now, we're lucky because we're alone, and you could probably kill the lights and eventually
I can do
down the road, and we
Yeah.
can see what this looks like.
Sure,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Well, I'll let you take us on a continued.
The next area that I modeled, of course, there's about probably 30 miles in between Front Royal and Virginia, and Luray, Virginia, or Luray as the natives say. This is a tannery that part of the buildings are still there. Again, we made several trips down, took photos, and I scratch built all the tannery buildings here.
Man, this is sharp.
They got hides in, they got oak in from local oak trees, and they made leather for shoes and soles for shoes, leather soles for shoes.
This is spectacular. I didn't know what this was when I first came here. These smokestacks, you scratch built these smokestacks.
I did.
You cannot buy these smokestacks, and this took a tremendous amount of time.
It sure did.
Yeah, these are, folks, these are big. These are about 2.5 by 2.5 inches. These are big. These are big smokestacks.
My understanding is originally, of course, the powerhouse was all coal fired, and eventually one of the were converted to oil burning. So I don't know which one was. I just modeled both because they were both there in the 50s, and
man,
that's what I've got. The town of Luray, from this church and the graveyard over, is pretty much all scratch built by Richard Daniels, and represents what was there when we would make our trips down to Luray.
Wow.
The houses are still there as far as I know. We didn't know what colors they would have been painted in the mid-50s, so we just decided to paint them for the colors that they were as when we were down there.
Wow, this is incredible. Now, where would Luray Caverns be? Would that...
Luray Caverns would be behind us about 1.5 miles or 2 miles out.
Okay, down the other way.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. This is the Shenandoah Freight House. Between the freight house and then we have the passenger station, I was able many years ago in the mid-80s to get plans for those buildings from Norfolk Southern. Wow. The other buildings are, again, prototypically accurate. Some are still there with other uses. For example, in the back we have the A&P grocery store, which I believe last time I was there was a hardware store.
Oh, wow.
The Page Milling, the building is gone itself. The silos still exist. I guess it probably is cost prohibitive to tear those down. All the other buildings here were buildings that were actually in the town of Luray.
Wow.
This is the Luray Depot. And one of the things that we've tried to do is there was a photographer named O. Winston Link who documented the end of steam, mostly on the N&W. So we tried to replicate some of those scenes. And one of the scenes he has, as we've got depicted here, is this crossing tower in Luray with the Page Milling Company there in the background.
Check it out. Yeah. This so much I've missed all this in the walkthrough.
Well, yeah.
Because I didn't know. I was so overwhelmed when I came in. So
there were a lot of people here.
Right, and I'm sure my viewers are going to be so stoked that this is a really cool thing here.
Yeah,
this is still there.
This is Page Co-op. It's still there. Of course, it's been built up some more, added on to. But this is pretty much how we figured it existed in the mid-50s. We used period photos if we could find them, Sanborn maps. Sometimes we were lucky enough to find somebody that knew something about the area.
Wow. That's tennis courts back there.
Tennis courts back there. Yeah. Next to the VFW hall.
Oh, wow.
And when you leave Luray and head southbound, you cross over Hawksbill Creek. And again, this is another one of Link's photographs. Most of his photographs were at night. And we've tried to, again, replicate the bridges, the highway bridge, the railroad bridge, the swimmers in the Hawksbill Creek area there.
Wow. Look at that. The only thing we're missing is a Y6B or a Y3 tearing through there. Is that a Y6B in the
Actually, that's
picture?
2156, which I believe is the Y6A that's at the St. Louis Museum.
Man, that is really beautiful. Wow. All right, let's keep.
All right, so as we continue, we're going south on the railroad. And the next area is Stonewall. Now, Stonewall was again a subject of one of the Link photographs. And in the photograph of Link's, he is standing at the top of the road, at the hill of the roadway, looking down towards the railroad. I used his photographs here to scratch build all of this area as you're looking up, which is Route 3, Virginia Route 3, or US 340.
Oh, wow.
Up here. The other buildings here are just design preservation or whatever to give an appearance of what was there.
Wow.
The Bank of Stanley was a scratch built structure.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a really interesting little bank.
Yeah. And the town hall is at the very top over here. Again, that's scratch built and based on photographs that we either had or obtained.
Wow. This is so cool.
Yeah, this is the station that was at Stanley. I scratch built this based on N&W plans.
Oh, wow.
There was a company called Walled Lake Door Company. It's now a Monsanto plant. And through some trips down, we were able to get some photographs, some other information, and I scratch built that.
Oh, wow.
This little mill was just a kit that we used. The company houses over here. Some are kits, some are scratch built. And it just gives a flavor of what's in the area.
Right, right. As the crow flies. Okay. And
So as we continue south, we're getting closer to Shenandoah, which was a division point on the N&W line. And down through the valley, there are a number of quarries. There's not a quarry particularly on the prototype at this particular location, but it was a good spot to fit one in. This is sort of what would be the Grove Hill area on the prototype. We have the Shenandoah River. We have one of the trestles that's very familiar on that line.
wow.
And Greg Smith built not only the structures, but did all the scenery here for the quarry.
This is spectacular.
Greg also helped me pour the river here. And we used a little bit of forced perspective in the back where the river meets the backdrop. We took a N-gauge covered bridge, cut it in half, and put it back
wow.
there.
Way back there.
Way
let
back
me see if I can zoom in on that. This is, look at that bridge way back there, folks. Yeah. Wow.
There is a pop-up that we can get into, but I'm worried that I might not fit in it anymore. You know?
Yeah, we're all popping up, and except we can pop up, but we can't pop back down again. Oh my God, yeah. This is amazing. I mean, the whole layout's amazing. Did you use Envirotex?
Yes, that's Envirotex.
How did you stain it? This is so natural the way the water looks.
Well, we had some tints, and we just played around with the tints until we kind of got what we thought was right, and used that. The Envirotex is great because it has no odor.
Right.
It takes a while to set up, but that's okay.
Wow. You'd almost look and think you'd see fish in there. No, seriously. Oh, the trees. I had a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, the trees. These trees were the first trees that we used, and they were from a company called Alpine Arboretum, which was located in California.
Okay.
It was some type of a seed pod from a sumac plant that grew in California, and it has a very, very stiff armature. The sumac around here, the seed pods seem to be more flimsy. And I bought these things by the boxes.
Right.
There's thousands of these trees on the layout.
Can you still get these trees?
No.
Oh, you can't?
No, whoever was selling them, I forget the gentleman's name. I believe he probably had a landscaping business, and this was sort of a side thing for him.
Oh, wow.
Because I know other modelers in the area had got some trees and then tried to get some more and couldn't get any more.
Right.
But so these were the initial trees that we used.
Okay.
Again, there's thousands of them on the layout, and now, of course, we've used super trees.
Right. And even super trees are hard to get sometimes because of shipping and everything.
Yeah.
Are these the same sumac type?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah, they're all the same in here for the most part. There are a few of the super trees that we've, particularly where we got the little pieces and we kind of scavenged them and made use of them.
These telephone poles, I never noticed these. Man, these are, what a work of art this is.
And on the N&W, the two insulators on the bottom arm were always a white glass insulators. And that was so that the engine crews could hook up a telephone line and make contact with the dispatcher if there had some type of emergency that they were not within reasonable distance of, a depot or other company facility.
These wires are exquisite. Did you run these wires?
I did.
My
Ran every one
God,
of them.
look at this. These
Yeah.
are just unbelievably. Boy, you really need to have patience to do this.
Yeah, these I used cotton thread on, and then the other ones ever since I've been using the Easy Line from, I think it's Berkshire Junction makes that, and that has some spring to it, so that if you happen to reach across, it has some give to it and they won't break.
But this doesn't.
Fortunately, these are far enough back that nobody really should even be touching them.
Right.
But you're right. The thread doesn't have that spring to it.
Oh my God. And here we go with the turntable area. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
we come around here, we continue south. Again, this farm over here is just, there's a lot of farms in the valley. It's just representative of a farm. It's not any particular one. And it's just a nice spot to have a farm.
Right. It's beautiful.
I'll add that the layout is pretty much single track with passing sidings. We really don't have a track plan per se because we use track charts from the railroad to sort of figure out what was where.
Okay.
This is Shenandoah. Shenandoah was a yard and division point on the railroad. And at one time it had a 22 stall roundhouse. Prior to my time period, half of it burned down. So I've scratch built the 11 stall roundhouse that you see here. Still needs some work done to it.
Wow.
I just finished with the machine shop that sits behind the roundhouse. I scratch built
wow, look at
this.
That's gorgeous.
And the engine facilities here, there's a coaling tower that needs to be added, and there's a power plant that I'm getting ready to build, and a few other structures that sit out here.
This is gorgeous.
And the building in the back with the brown roof was the local YMCA where the crews would stay. And that building is still there. It's been added onto, and it is now an apartment house.
Oh, wow. Did you scratch build this water tank?
No, that's a kit. That's a Walther's kit. All we did was I was able to convince Walther's to send me another set of spouts so that we have spouts on both tracks.
Oh, wow.
The ash hoists were scratch built by John Holt, based on some N&W plans and some
John
photographs.
Holt. Yeah,
John Holt just passed away recently.
Yeah, I helped his family when they liquidated his stuff.
Yeah.
His son John. They're good people.
Yes.
Well, John, your dad's stuff lives on. Is there anything else John built on this?
He did build the front Royal Depot, as I showed you. He
Okay.
built the coaling tower for me, which is not in place yet, but I'll show you that before
Yeah,
we finish wrapping up.
I'd love to see it.
This is the prototype of the coaling tower.
Oh my God! Yeah, I think John and his family. I mean, John Jr. and his family would love to see this.
Yeah.
Now, this building back here. What is this?
This is just this is some of the old Magnuson structure kits that I kit bashed that together to hide sort of that you were going through a doorway here.
Okay.
It's really not prototypically correct for it to be there.
But it looks it worked.
It worked.
Because that corner, you can't really tell it was
Right.
a corner, and it looks like, voila, goes right into the.
Exactly.
Oh, my.
This mill over here was there prototypically, and that was built by Greg Smith.
Okay.
There have been a number of people that I've had with help. Not everybody built structures, so
Right.
It's been a number of people that have helped with wiring, bench work, scenery, just doing things as I needed them done. So I've had a lot of help over the years, and have enjoyed all working with everybody.
Well, let's pause this and.
Okay, so we're still here in Shenandoah.
Okay.
The depot I scratch built based on plans that I was able to obtain from Norfolk Southern.
Damn.
The houses in the background are just kits or scratch built structures that are representative of the buildings that were in that area. The White House was a facility used by some of the yard crews and stuff like that. I built that based on photographs, as well as the freight house, which was there up until the 80s sometime. I built that based on photographs.
And this yard
This
here.
is the yard that we classify trains in. There's a couple mainline trains that come during the session. There's several locals that operate out of here.
Now, is this Shenandoah Yard?
This
or-
is Shenandoah Yard, yes.
Wow. And you guys run what, Digitrax?
Digitrax, yes.
Wow.
Still the original Digitrax. I've not upgraded to anything because if it ain't broken, I don't fix it.
Right, don't fix it. A Code 83 track.
Well, this is actually Code 100 track.
Oh, it
I
is?
painted. Yeah, I painted all the tracks, sprayed it with my trusty spray gun.
Right.
Because when we started this back in the mid 80s, Code 100 was about the only thing you could get.
Okay.
And
I like Code 100. It's a little more forgiving.
and now as we've added other stuff, we've used Code 83.
Okay. I've always wondered why Code 100 didn't continue on with, all the switches and everything, because it's just a little more forgiving,
Yeah, yeah.
And this church back here, is this...
This is just something to represent the area. It's nothing prototypical.
Okay.
But it just, again, it's representative of driving down through the valley. There's lots of houses,
Right.
lots of churches, graveyards, things like that.
And the backdrop,
Backdrop was painted by Gene Lance. Gene recently passed away. He was he worked for Coca-Cola, had no artist training, but was a very artistic guy.
Wow.
He also did a lot of the scenery that is here on the layout.
Yeah, there's another yard. This is...
Yeah, this is just an ancillary yard of Shenandoah. Actually, at Shenandoah, they had a north and south yard. I didn't have room to do both with any justice to them, so we built one big yard and then have this yard over here.
Wow. And you run steam and diesel
I
early?
run steam and diesel. I do the summer of 1956 because that allows me to run both steam and diesel.
Right.
I was born in 1953, which I would have preferred to model, but I would have to use all steam locomotives, and I
Right.
wasn't sure that I would be able to get reliable models of steam to do that. So that's
Right.
why I chose 56.
We got a big ball field here. Is that...
Big ball field. We're here in Elkton, Virginia, and in Elkton, Virginia, there's an area where you go through the business section. There actually is several playing fields. So we had this area here, and my good friend Rich Daniels, he said, "I'll build a softball diamond." So here we go.
This is huge. This thing's about 3 by 3 feet.
Yeah.
This is really cool. Wow.
This is this was Elkton Milling Company. This building, I scratch built this. This was based on the buildings were still there when I went down through Elkton. It had become a plastics plant at that point in time, but I scratch built that. The other structures are just again, they're kits that are representative of the type of structures that you'll find in that area. There was a lumber company. This is an old kit from Timberline Models.
Okay.
And I built that and just added a couple Atlas lumber sheds there.
Yeah, I was looking at this. I'm like, wow, that looks familiar.
Yeah, they're just Atlas lumber line. The let me move this tree out of the way.
Okay.
The passenger depot I scratch built based on photographs. The freight depot I scratch built based on photographs that my wife and I had taken. We went down through there in the summer of '85, and this building was still standing, and I took those photographs. I went back maybe a year later to measure it, and it was gone.
Oh, wow.
We also simulate here the interchange that, and I neglected to mention this, but up in Front Royal, the N&W interchange with Southern. Here in Elkton, they interchange with the Chesapeake Western. And we simulate that with a bridge over the Shenandoah River here and some track over this way.
Wow. This is really impressive. Yeah, this is... And you say you guys just used track drawings? You really didn't draw this out, or you just...
No, originally we drew it out, sort of a guesstimate of what we wanted to do. But, and originally I was going to base the layout on the Shenandoah Valley area and sort of freelance. But the more when it came time to make decisions on what to do for locomotives and things like that, I kept finding myself turning to the prototype. So we pretty much relied on what the prototype did. We took some modeler's license here and there because you can't get everything in the prototype.
But it's a good guide, and
it's an excellent guide. Yeah,
it worked. Wow. Yeah, this is just incredible. Cattails.
Cattails. This also is Envirotex.
Is it? Yeah, that's
This was one of the first spots that we poured the Envirotex in.
good rippling here.
Yeah. Yeah. We let it set up a little bit extra long and then poured that in and got that effect.
These are nice, just beautiful presentation of some nice homes back in there.
Yeah, they're all kits, and again, they're just representation of the types of houses you would see in the Shenandoah Valley area.
And here the walkthrough, I was unable to get this. Is this a cut through of some kind?
It's just a cut for scenery purposes. There's some rugged areas down in the valley, and we just try to replicate some of that.
Let's go check it out. Yeah, this is an interesting little. You say that was a Bar Mills kit?
Yeah, this was a Bar Mills kit. I just was looking for something to fill in that area. And this is an area that we call Stonewall, and beyond Stonewall would be an area called Linwood, and at Linwood there was a mill, and I was able to locate the location of the mill by the footings that remained. All the buildings were gone, and the only photo I was able to obtain from the local historical society was taken from the other side of the valley. So these are all American model builders laser kits, the Dabbler mill, and some of the other structures that they make, just to make up the complex that's there.
So it's kit bashed.
They're just kits built as they're supposed to be built.
Oh, okay.
And just used for this purpose here. And again, we used Envirotex for the river that you see there.
Wow. Yeah, this is beautiful. This really is a beautiful. This was the one. So you say that wasn't kit bashed.
No, that's how it comes right out. I mean, not out of the box, but I built it according to the plans. I didn't modify it at all.
That's beautiful. And then we have a
farm, another farm. Alchem Models, Bernie Kempinski and Alchem Models were the first vendor to make corn out of brass etchings, and that's what that cornfield is.
Out of brass etchings.
Brass etchings, and
oh my God.
I still need to kind of turn and twist them a little bit, but that was quite a project to put that cornfield in. And again, the farm just is representative of things that are down there. It's not a particular farm whatsoever. We built a, most farms would have a spring house as a source of water in the back there. And we have that. We have some pens. We have a smokehouse. Wow. A lot of the properties down there have their own little graveyard. So we have one here.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. You'd walk right by that and never notice that. Another creek.
Yeah, another creek. My friend Fred Worth built the abutments here, and he actually had engraved into the plastic here a date, 1908. Wow. And Fred installed all that. We used Envirotex.
Right, and then this is a work in progress.
This is a work in progress. This is the Merck Pharmaceutical Company. Merck built their plant down there, similar to the Visco's plant, as part of the war effort, and they produced quinine for the war effort.
Now, what is quinine?
It was to combat malaria.
Oh, okay.
During my time period, there would have been a coal-fired power plant, and that's what will sit here where this whiteboard is now occupying space.
So there's going to be a power plant here.
Yeah, and these are some pictures of the prototype that we took and sort of stitched together the old-fashioned way.
Wow, so that'll sit here.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Man, let's keep...
Sure. Down through the valley, there's a number of these steel trestles, and again, on the prototype, there's not one at this particular point, but we thought it'd be a good place to put one.
Oh, yeah.
So this is just a microengineering, a couple kits that we put together here, built that there, and it occupies a nice space here on the end of the aisle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had to do a second walkthrough because I walked right by this by mistake.
This is the town of Grottoes. This is again US 340 that goes down through the valley.
Okay.
The depot I scratch built. Most of the houses are just American model builders kits.
Mm-hmm.
Again, here's another O. Winston Link photograph. This is and I have to add the fire engine and other things in here. But he had taken this photograph with one of the NNWKs going northbound there.
Oh man, yeah, look at that.
With the passenger train. And
Holy smokes.
so I built this building based on the photograph.
Right.
A couple years after that, I went down and I learned that instead of it just being 3 doors, it was a 4-door building, but I have it as it is.
Wow.
I'll also note that the original building, the volunteers had gotten a whistle from the NNW, and that's what they used to call the volunteers
wow.
when there was a fire.
And this big building here.
This is a kit. There's another industry in Grottoes called Reynolds Metals, and looking at the prototype, they were pretty much just square brick buildings, and it kind of sits way off the main line.
Right.
I wasn't really able to get back there, so this was a Volmer kit that we sort of changed the roof on a little bit by using the standing seam type corrugated material.
Yeah, it fits perfectly. It's really very nice. And then we have.
This is just the area. There's some trailer parks down through there. Some little isolated houses. Back in the 50s, there were a lot of these little cabin type motels. So
Oh wow.
that's what we have here.
Yeah, I totally missed this.
Easy to do.
Yeah, and look at this highway. Wow.
Let me close this.
This is cool. You know, the way it snakes around. Yeah, very interesting. All right. Okay, and this section.
This section here is before we go through the masonry wall that supports the fireplaces upstairs. And when we were building the house, we found our house plans in a book, but we wanted some modifications to it. And one of the model railroad guys, Glenn Crowell, was an architect. So Glenn made the changes for the plans on this, and he knew, being a model railroader, he knew I was going to run the track through here. So he had this design to have a hole through the wall. And what the masons did is they put a piece of chimney flue, laid it horizontally, and that's what the track runs through.
Oh my goodness.
This building is not there prototypically.
I didn't even notice. I thought eventually you were going to go through the wall. You actually did go through the wall.
We did go through the wall.
You know, I'm getting ready to, my wife after 35 years of marriage has said, you can go through the wall into the next room. And I'm like, now how am I going to pull this off? I didn't even know, folks, looking at it from the angle where we were, you can't tell. It just, it goes through into the next room.
Yeah. Rich Daniels built that as well. I believe it's based on this photograph that he had of, I think it's the old Angel's Envy distillery. And it just worked out right. Again, it's not there prototypically. We used some modeler's license again to disguise the hole in the wall, and I think it turned out well.
And this kind of shows the...
Yeah, this is what Rich based his buildings on.
Wow. Let's go on the other side and take a look.
Okay.
Orange open house.
And this is the other side of the wall,
That's the other
folks,
side,
on
yeah,
the
that's it.
other
Yeah,
side of the
that's all
room
right, yeah.
where it comes out
Yeah.
and into the next room.
And this area is called Waynesboro, and Waynesboro is as far as I model on the prototype.
Okay.
At Waynesboro, there was an interchange with the C&O. The C&O crosses over the NNW, and to the west on the C&O, they had a small yard. They would interchange with the NNW here. And at Waynesboro, the C&O and the NNW crossing sort of divided the town into north and south, and there was a north belt line and a south belt line. I believe the C&O primarily operated the south belt line, and both C&O and NNW operated the north belt line. But I'm not 100% sure of that. All the houses that you see have been built by Richard Daniels based on Sanborn maps, tax records, Google Earth. And so they are all the houses that are actually there, or we think were there, as of the mid-50s.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they're beautiful. And then panning over here. And what town is this?
This is Waynesboro, Virginia.
Okay.
I-64 now kind of cuts across from Charlottesville across through here and hits into I-81.
And that's a C&O type station
Yeah,
back
this
there.
is the gray station is the C&O station, and then the elevator house there, and then the white and green is the N&W station. Those were I scratch built those, and those are based off of this photograph by O. Winston Link.
Okay. Wow.
There were also plans for the C&O depot in an issue of a mainline modeler many, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
A gentleman named Jeff Kohler did a series on Waynesboro, Virginia, and fortunately for me, he had photos of the C&O depot as well as drawings.
Interesting. It's very, very nice. And it goes into the staging
And then
room?
it goes into staging.
Wow.
I'll add that there was a turntable at Waynesboro. I believe it was there primarily because the N&W had a local that worked from Roanoke to Waynesboro, and they would turn and go back.
Okay.
I'm sure there was also there was another local that came from Shenandoah to Waynesboro, and then would go back, and that power also had to be turned.
And then this, what are you planning on doing with this area here?
This is representing as much of the north belt line as I can. It's not in a prototypical layout,
Right.
but it is representative of what the industries were that were there.
This will be very interesting. Well, let's go in the back room if we could, the staging.
Sure. This is the southbound
The southbound?
of the layout.
Okay.
You would be coming into the staging tracks here. That would represent Roanoke.
Wow. How many tracks deep is this? This is,
I think it's 11 tracks altogether.
boy, and plenty of staging.
Plenty of
folks.
staging, and it just goes all the way around and then comes back. It makes a big loop.
Wow, let's just out of the way so you don't see it. And it's nice back here, and it's just a fun place to be.
Greatness.
Greatness. Alex, this is greatness. Yes. Okay, Jim, tell us about this coal tower.
So this is the coal tower that earlier you had a photo. You took a video of the photo that I had of the prototype.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a Fairbanks Morris coaling tower, and I tried to find plans for it, and I was unable to find plans for it. But we did have several photographs of it taken over the years.
Wow.
And one of the friends that has helped me on the layout, John Holt.
John Holt.
John Holt Sr. He liked these kind of fidgety projects, and
Right.
he built the ash hoist back there in Shenandoah.
Uh-huh.
And he said he would build this, and by gosh, he sure did.
Yeah, he passed away recently, and this is just he'd be so happy, fitting tribute to have this thing live on the layout.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Do you want to show us the light show you were going to talk about?
Sure, let me show you that.
Right there. Look at that.
Folks, we are so lucky that Jim was able to. There's nobody here. It's dark outside. We got the lights out. Look at the flickering lights on top of this. How did you do that, Jim?
These are all 5-volt bulbs that Rich Daniels, when he built this plant, he installed all the lights. Rich is a detail hound,
Uh-huh.
and he's even got the blinkers on top of the smokestack on the powerhouse here, the red blinkers.
Wow.
There's lights in all of this here.
Man. Are these LED or a mix of LED and incandescent?
There's no LED. I believe they're all incandescent 5-volt bulbs.
Okay. They look great. Look at this thing. And it has sound effects. These
Well,
are.
that's the cooling of the power supplies. That we're
Oh, it
using.
is?
Yeah.
It actually sounds like a real plane.
It sounds like a plant. Yeah.
Greatness.
Greatness. This, guys,
Nocturnal greatness.
this is nocturnal train greatness, folks. This is just. I'm afraid to walk around for fear I'm going to crash, but
No, they're incandescents. They're 5-volt incandescents.
Okay.
what do you think, Ken?
These were all pretty much before the LEDs came out.
Okay.
Jim, I really appreciate you taking the time
Sure.
to do this, and I'm sure the viewers are going to just be floored by this, and I'm so blessed to be able to have such great railroads close to where I am
This
to.
is industrial Americana right in this scene at nighttime, right here.
This is-
industrial Americana.
This is what I'm talking about. This is spectacular.
Yes.
I mean, my lord.
And the intricate detail on the catwalks and the staircases and
The
everything.
interior details.
This is nice.
The interior
The
detail.
ladders and everything down to the
God,
down
man.
to each individual rung of the ladders is just greatness.
Folks,
Mind blowing. Mind blowing.
all right, I'm very careful to pan. I don't want, and it just goes.
You're watching the second shift at work right now at the factory.
Yep.
Second shift.
I'm just going to walk down there carefully.
And also down in Luray, where Rich built a lot of the structures, he has lights in those structures as well.
Wow. Let me. Yeah, this is.
You can't half-ass it either. It's full wet.
This is
How about this?
Luray, Virginia, as the crow flies, folks. The crow's flying at night. When you actually see it in person, the lights are not overbearing. They look a little overbearing in the video, but I can assure you in person, when you're looking at them, they're soft, they're incandescent, so they're soft lights, they're not harsh, and they're absolutely beautiful. Jim, I really appreciate. Thanks so much. We're blown away by this. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.